Grace crashed Korea most fear Mafia King's engagement party with twins who had his exact face, grabbed the microphone and watched 300 of Seoul's elite freeze as her daughter bowed sweetly to the bride and said, "Hello, stepmother. I'm 11, and Mama raised us alone after father left her bleeding in London." The phones came out, the cameras started recording, and Grace knew by morning his entire empire would be ash. But when her phone buzzed, the message made her blood turn to ice. "We've been waiting for you to bring them. Thank you." Grace looked up at 300 faces, her heart hammering. Someone in this ballroom had wanted her to expose the twins, had planned for this exact moment. And she'd just delivered her children into a trap she didn't even see coming. If you want to find out who set the trap and if Grace can save her children, hit subscribe and don't go anywhere. This story is about to get dangerous. Grace Daniels stood in the centre of the Grand Lotus Casino's main ballroom, her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. 300 of Seoul's most powerful people surrounded her, champagne glasses frozen halfway to lips, conversations dying mid-sentence. The twins flanked her on either side, Seth's hand gripping hers with white-knuckled intensity, Sarah trembling but standing tall, just like Grace had taught her. The engagement party was in full swing moments ago. Now silence pressed down like a physical weight. On the elevated stage, Yoon Tae-yang stood beside his fiancée Minjun, both dressed in coordinating cream and gold, looking like they'd stepped out of a luxury magazine. Ji-won's smile hadn't quite faded yet. She still thought this was her perfect night. Grace moved forward, heels clicking against marble. Every step echoed. "Security," someone hissed, but Grace was already climbing the stage steps. She'd learned Korean perfectly over 12 years, every harsh consonant, every formal phrase, every subtle inflection that conveyed respect or contempt. Tonight, she chose her register carefully, loud enough for everyone to hear, formal enough to be devastatingly polite. "Forgive the interruption of this beautiful celebration," Grace said in flawless Korean, taking the microphone from the shocked toastmaster. "But I thought the bride-to-be should meet her future stepchildren before the wedding." The room exploded in whispers. Grace turned, gestured. "Seth, Sarah, come here, babies." The twins walked onto the stage with the rehearsed precision Grace had drilled into them for weeks. Seth, 11 years old, already had Tae-yang's sharp jawline, those same calculating eyes that missed nothing. Sarah had inherited her father's face, but softened with Grace's warmth, making the resemblance somehow more heartbreaking. They stood under the crystal chandeliers, and 300 people saw the truth simultaneously. Tae-yang's face drained of colour for a man known as the Silent King, a man who'd never shown emotion in public. The crack in his composure was seismic. His hand, holding a champagne flute, started shaking. The glass slipped from his fingers, shattered against the stage floor. Nobody moved to clean it up. "What is this?" Ji-won's voice cut through the shock, high and sharp. "Tae-yang, what is this?" But Tae-yang couldn't speak. He was staring at Seth like he was seeing a ghost. The boy was his mirror image, impossible to deny. Grace smiled, cold and precise. 12 years ago, your fiancé spent 3 weeks in London on business. We met. We fell in love, or so I thought. Then his enemies found him. They shot up my apartment building looking for him." She paused. Let that sink in. He left the next morning. No goodbye, no explanation, nothing. 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. "That's not..." Tae-yang started, but his voice cracked. The Silent King's voice actually cracked. Sarah stepped forward exactly as Grace had coached her. The little girl bowed formally to Ji-won. Perfect etiquette. "Hello, stepmother. I'm Sarah Daniels Yoon. I'm 11 years old. Are you kind?" Because our mother is very kind. She raised us alone after father left her bleeding in a London hospital. The word bleeding hit the crowd like a slap. Cameras appeared everywhere. Phone lights blinked red. This was going live on social media. Grace had counted on that. If you're loving this drama, hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to get wild. Jiwon turned on Taeyang, her beautiful face twisted with fury. Is this true? I didn't know, Taeyang whispered. Grace, I didn't know you were... Didn't know or didn't care to find out? Grace kept her voice level, surgical. I called you 50 times that first month. You changed your number. I emailed you. Blocked. I flew to Seoul 6 months pregnant. Desperate. Terrified. Your mother met me at a hotel. Every eye in the room swiveled to the elegant woman in the Chanel suit standing near the stage. Madame Yoon's face could have been carved from ice. Your mother offered me £30,000, Grace continued. She called my babies half-breed mistakes and told me to take care of it and never come back. The crowd gasped, actual gasps, like something from a drama. But this was real life unfolding in real time. Taeyang turned to his mother, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. Mother, is this true? Madame Yoon lifted her chin. I protected this family from scandal. I did what was necessary. You paid her to abort my children. I paid her to handle an unfortunate situation. How was I to know she'd keep them and show up 12 years later demanding... I'm not demanding anything, Grace cut in, voice like a knife. I don't want your money. I spent every pound of what she gave me on prenatal care and baby supplies. I have receipts. 12 years of receipts. She pulled a folder from her bag, held it up. Every single penny accounted for. Seth moved beside his mother, addressed the crowd in formal Korean that made several people blink in surprise. A child speaking their language with such precision was unexpected. My mother taught us never to take what we haven't earned. We don't want your money. We wanted one thing, a father. The past tense landed like a bomb. Wanted, not want. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, real ones, not coached. Why didn't you want us, father? What did we do wrong? Taeyang reached for her instinctively, and Seth moved like lightning, blocking his path. The 11-year-old boy stepped between the silent king and his daughter, fearless. Don't touch her, Seth said quietly. You don't get to comfort her now. You weren't there for 11 years of nightmares. 300 people watched an 11-year-old physically stop South Korea's most feared man, watched Taeyang freeze, hand outstretched, unable to push past his own son. Jiwon laughed, brittle and sharp. This is insane. Security, remove these people immediately. On what grounds? Grace asked pleasantly. We haven't broken any laws. We're just introducing family to family. Surely you want to know the man you're marrying. A man pushed through the crowd, tall, broad-shouldered, with police commissioner insignia on his dress uniform. Ji-won's father. Commissioner Park took the stage with the easy authority of someone who controlled law enforcement in Seoul. These are serious accusations, Commissioner Park said, looking at Grace with shrewd eyes. Do you have proof these children are his? Grace smiled. She'd been waiting for this. From her bag, she pulled documents. Birth certificates with Yoon Taeyang listed as father, photographs time-stamped from her pregnancy in London, hospital records, and the pièce de résistance. DNA test results, she said, handing the paper to Commissioner Park. I had it done 5 years ago using Mr. Yoon's publicly available blood sample from the charity drive he participated in, 99.9% match. Brilliant. Legal. Impossible to refute. Commissioner Park read the document, looked at the twins, looked at Taeyang. His face told the story. He turned to his daughter. Jiwon, did you know about this? Of course not. Jiwon's composure was cracking. Taeyang, did you know? No, Taeyang said. and for the first time, emotion leaked into his voice. Pain, raw and real. Grace, I swear I didn't know you were pregnant. How could I? You didn't even know yet. You have to believe. I don't have to believe anything, Grace said softly. You left. That's fact. I was alone. That's fact. Your children grew up without you. That's fact. Whether you knew or not doesn't change what happened. A younger man rushed onto the stage, late 20s, handsome in an understated way that contrasted with Taeyang's sharp edges. He looked concerned, playing the worried brother perfectly. Taeyang, what's going on? Minjun asked. Who are these people? Uncle, Sarah said brightly, because Grace had taught her about the whole family. I'm Sarah. This is Seth. We're your niece and nephew. Minjun's face did something complicated. Surprise, then calculation, then a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Well, this is unexpected. Welcome to the family. He moved toward the twins, and Grace's instinct screamed something about his energy was wrong. Children, Grace said quietly, stay close to me. Seth had the same instinct. He took Sarah's hand, pulled her back toward their mother. Minjun noticed. His smile widened. Protective. I like that. You'll need that instinct in this family. He leaned closer to Seth, voice dropping. Your mother is very brave, bringing you here. But Seoul can be dangerous for people who don't understand how things work. Seth's eyes narrowed, then, louder, projecting his voice like Grace had taught him. Uncle, did you just threaten us? The room went silent again. Different quality this time. Dangerous. Minjun's face smoothed into innocent confusion. Threaten? No, I was just... Mother, Seth said, turning to Grace. Uncle Minjun just threatened us. He said Seoul is dangerous for people who don't understand how things work. Every phone in the room swiveled toward Minjun. Caught on camera. Recorded. Undeniable. Commissioner Park's face hardened. Mr. Yoon, did you threaten these children? I was giving friendly advice. Save it, Ji-won snapped. She pulled the engagement ring off her finger. 3 carats of flawless diamond that probably cost more than Grace's yearly salary. She didn't hand it to Taeyang. She threw it at his feet. The ring bounced, skittered across the stage, came to rest near the broken champagne glass. Father, Ji-won said, voice shaking with fury. We're leaving. This family is a circus and I won't be part of it. Ji-won, wait, Commissioner Park started. No. He has secret children, 11-year-old children. His mother paid off their mother. His brother is threatening them at their first family meeting. This is insane. She turned to Taeyang, and her face was cold. You can't even control your own past. How can you control a future with me? She walked off the stage, heels clicking, back straight. Commissioner Park followed, but not before giving Taeyang a look that promised consequences. The engagement was over. In less than 10 minutes, Grace had dismantled it completely. Drop a comment below telling me what you think of Grace so far. Is she a hero, or is she going too far? Taeyang stood alone on the stage now, his mother and brother watching from the side. The party guests were pulling out phones, texting, making calls. Grace could see it happening in real time, the story spreading, the scandal metastasizing. A businessman in an expensive suit approached the stage. Taeyang, I'm sorry, but the Busan deal is off. My partners can't be associated with this kind of publicity. Another man, younger, apologetic. The casino investors are pulling out. This is too much exposure. Within minutes, 3 major business deals dissolved. Grace watched Taeyang's empire take body blows, one after another. His face remained impassive, but she'd learned to read his micro-expressions years ago, the tiny tightening around his eyes, the barely perceptible clench of his jaw. He was bleeding internally. Good. Madame Yoon swept onto the stage, every inch the former Mafia queen. Enough of this circus. Security, escort Ms. Daniels and these children out of... Touch them, Tae-yang said, voice dropping to a register Grace had never heard before. And I will kill you myself. Everyone froze. Madame Yoon's eyes widened. You would threaten me? Your own mother? You paid to have my children killed. Tae-yang's voice was absolutely calm, which made it more terrifying. That makes you my enemy. Tae-yang, you're being emotional. For the first time in my life, yes, I am. He turned to Grace, and she saw something in his eyes she couldn't quite name. Desperation, maybe. Grace, please, not here. Give me a chance to explain privately. You did this in private, Grace said. You left in private. You disappeared in private. We do this public. The press is recording everything. I know. That's the point. Grace took her children's hands. Come on, babies. We're done here. Wait, Sarah said, pulling against her mother's grip. Wait, I have a question. Grace hesitated. Sarah? Please, Mama, just one question. The little girl looked at Tae-yang with eyes too old for 11. Father, did you love our mother? Back then, when you met her. Did you love her? The ballroom held its breath. Tae-yang's mask finally shattered completely. His voice came out rough, broken. Yes. God help me. Yes. Then why did you leave? To protect her. My enemies would have killed her if they knew she mattered to me. Seth made a disgusted sound. So you protected her by abandoning her when she needed you most? That's not protection. That's cowardice. You don't understand the world I live in. No, you don't understand. Seth's voice rose, losing the formal Korean, reverting to the accent he'd learned from his mother. She raised us alone. She worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. She cried herself to sleep thinking she wasn't enough. She never told us you were a coward because she didn't want us to hate you. But I see it now. You're not a king. You're just a man who runs away. The words hit Tae-yang like physical blows. Grace watched emotions war across his face. Shame, anger, grief. Things she'd never seen from the silent king. Seth, Grace said gently. That's enough. No, it's not. Seth was crying now, angry tears streaming down his face. He doesn't get to say he loved you and then disappear. He doesn't get to stand there and act like he's the victim. We're the victims. We grew up without a father because he was too scared to fight for us. I fought for you every day, Tae-yang said, voice cracking again. I looked for your mother for 12 years. I hired private investigators. I searched hospital records. I looked for you starting the day after I left. I didn't know you were pregnant, but I knew I'd made a mistake leaving you. When I couldn't find you, I thought the shooting had killed you, that you died from complications I never knew about. Liar, Seth spat. Tae-yang moved faster than Grace expected, pulling something from his inner jacket pocket. A hospital bracelet, worn, faded, clearly old. He held it up, and Grace's stomach dropped. Her name was on it. The London hospital. The date of the shooting. I kept this, Tae-yang said quietly, every day for 12 years. I've carried it everywhere. You think I didn't care? You think I forgot? His voice broke completely. She was the only person who ever made me want to be something other than this. Grace stared at the bracelet. She remembered waking up in the hospital, asking for it, being told it had been lost. He'd taken it. He'd kept it. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you left, Grace said quietly. Alone. Terrified. I tried to call you 50 times that first month after I found out. Why couldn't you find us then? Grace heard herself ask. If you were looking so hard, why didn't you find us? Because you disappeared completely. No digital trail, no records, nothing. I thought... He swallowed hard. I thought maybe you'd died, that the shooting had complications I didn't know about. I've been looking for a ghost. I changed my name, Grace admitted. Legally. After your mother paid me off, I became Grace Daniels. I was Grace Okonkwo before. Understanding dawned on Taeyang's face. You erased yourself. I protected myself. I protected them. Grace gestured to the twins. Your world tried to kill us once. I made sure it couldn't find us again. A slow clap interrupted them. Minjun, still standing at the edge of the stage, was applauding. What a touching reunion. Really, I'm moved. His smile was sharp. But Taeyang, we need to talk about the family business. These revelations are problematic. Not now, Minjun. Yes, now. Minjun's voice hardened. You're compromised. These children, this woman, they're liabilities. The family council needs to... I don't care about the family council. Well, you should. Mother, you agree with me, don't you? Taeyang is emotionally unstable. He's making decisions based on feelings, not strategy. He just threatened his own mother over a woman he hasn't seen in 12 years. Madame Yoon's face was unreadable. Minjun has a point. Are you seriously? Taeyang started. I call for an emergency family council. Minjun announced to the room. Vote of confidence in current leadership, tonight. The remaining guests murmured. This was unprecedented. A public coup attempt. Grace saw the trap closing. This was what Minjun wanted. The chaos, the scandal, the emotional breakdown. He'd been waiting for his brother to show weakness. But Grace hadn't survived 12 years alone by being naive. Before you vote, Grace said loudly, you might want to know something interesting I discovered. She pulled out her phone, pulled up a file. 12 years ago, the gang that attacked us in London. They knew exactly where to find Taeyang, knew which apartment, which floor, which night. She looked at Minjun. I always wondered how they got that information. Minjun's smile didn't falter. London is a big city. Gangs have networks. They do. So I hired my own investigator, former MI6, very good at following money. Grace swiped through her phone. Want to know what he found? Wire transfer from a Seoul bank to a London criminal organisation, sent 3 days before the attack. The account belonged to a Yoon Minjun. The silence was absolute. Taeyang turned to his brother slowly. What is she talking about? She's lying, trying to divide us. I have bank records, Grace said. I have communication logs. I have testimony from one of the gang members who's now in witness protection. He said a Korean man paid them to kill Yoon Taeyang, said the man wanted it to look like a rival gang hit. Taeyang's face went blank. Not emotionless, Grace realised. Shut down, like his brain was processing something too big to show externally. Minjun, he said, voice terrifyingly calm. Did you try to have me killed? Brother, she's manipulating you. Answer the question. Minjun's mask cracked. You were getting soft, meeting some foreign girl, talking about leaving the business, about going legitimate. You were going to destroy everything father built. I saved you from yourself. You almost killed the mother of my children. I didn't know she was pregnant. That was unfortunate collateral. Taeyang moved. 1 second he was standing still. The next his hand was around Minjun's throat, slamming him against the wall. The violence was shocking in its speed and precision. You tried to kill me, Taeyang said, voice still calm. You shot at me and hit her instead. She lost her scholarship. She lost her career. She was alone and terrified and pregnant because of you. Minjun gasped for air. Brother, please, don't call me brother. Taeyang released him, stepped back. You're expelled from this family, effective immediately. You can't do that, Mother. Tell him. Madame Yoon was staring at her younger son like she'd never seen him before. You tried to kill your brother? To save the family? Get out, she said quietly. Get out of my sight. Hit that like button if you're as shocked as I am right now. Minjun's face twisted with rage. This isn't over. You think you can just... Security appeared, finally. Large men in black suits who'd been waiting for clear orders. They took Minjun by the arms, started escorting him out. He fought, shouting, "You'll regret this. Both of you. I'll destroy everything you..." The ballroom doors closed behind him, cutting off his threats. The party guests were leaving now, sensing the evening was over. Grace watched them file out, whispering, recording, spreading the story. By morning, all of Seoul would know. Good. Sarah was crying silently, overwhelmed. Seth looked exhausted, his earlier rage burned out. Grace gathered them close, and they were just children again, not weapons, just her babies, tired and scared. "Come with me," Taeyang said. "Please, let me explain everything properly. Not here." "Where?" Grace asked warily. "My home. It's secure, private. The children can rest." "Your home? You mean where your mother lives?" "No, my private residence. She doesn't have access." Grace hesitated. Every instinct screamed this was a bad idea, but Sarah was shaking, and Seth looked ready to collapse, and they needed somewhere safe to process everything that had just happened. "Fine," she said. "But we leave when I say we leave." Agreed. They left through a back exit, away from the cameras. Taeyang's car was waiting, a black Mercedes with bulletproof glass, and a driver who looked former military. Grace made sure the twins were buckled in before getting in herself. The drive through Seoul's night streets was silent. Sarah fell asleep against Grace's shoulder. Seth stared out the window, jaw tight. Taeyang's home was a penthouse that took up the entire top floor of a building in Gangnam. Minimal security presence, surprisingly. Just one guard at the elevator who nodded respectfully and left them alone. The apartment was beautiful in a stark way, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, dark wood floors, minimal furniture. It felt more like a hotel than a home. "Guest rooms are down that hall," Taeyang said. "The children can rest." Grace guided the twins to the rooms. Seth went without protest, too tired to argue. Sarah clung to Grace for a moment. "Mama, are we safe here?" "Yes, baby, I promise." "Is father a bad man?" Grace smoothed her daughter's hair. "He's a complicated man who made bad choices, but he won't hurt us." "How do you know?" "Because I saw his face when he looked at you," Grace thought. "Because the most feared man in Seoul had tears in his eyes when you asked why he didn't love you." "Because you're his daughter," Grace said instead. "Sleep now." She tucked Sarah in, made sure Seth had water and knew where to find her, then returned to the living room. Taeyang stood by the windows, staring out at Seoul's glittering expanse. "Your brother tried to kill you," Grace said. "Does that happen often in your world?" "Often enough." He didn't turn around. "I'm sorry you got caught in it." "Sorry doesn't raise children for 12 years. "I know." He finally turned, and in the dim lighting, he looked human, vulnerable. "I looked for you. I need you to believe that." "Why does it matter what I believe?" "Because..." He stopped, seemed to struggle with words. "Because you were the only real thing in my life. 3 weeks with you, and I felt like a person instead of a crown. When you disappeared, I thought I'd lost my chance at being anything else." Grace's throat tightened. She'd spent 12 years hating him, imagining him as a monster. This broken man in front of her didn't fit the narrative. "You had options," she said. "You could have walked away from all of this, gone legitimate, and left my family vulnerable. My mother, my people, they depend on this organization. The minute I show weakness, rivals move in. People die. So you chose them over me. I chose to keep you alive. If they'd known how I felt about you, You would have been a target forever. I left to protect you. And shot me instead. Tae-yang flinched. That was Minjun. But it was your world, your choices, your war. Grace moved closer, anger rising. You don't get to play the noble martyr. You left me bleeding and alone. You don't get credit for being haunted by it. You're right. The simple agreement caught her off guard. You're absolutely right. Tae-yang continued. I don't get credit for regret. I don't get credit for looking for you. I destroyed your life, and I don't get to feel sorry for myself about it. He met her eyes. But I am sorry. For what it's worth. It's worth nothing, Grace said, but her voice lacked conviction. I know. He turned back to the window. You should rest. Tomorrow I'll arrange security for you and the children. You'll need it now that you've painted targets on your backs. We're not staying in Seoul. Yes, you are. Grace stiffened. Excuse me. The second you stepped into that ballroom, you declared war on everyone who wants me weak. My mother's allies, Minjun's contacts, rival families who see this as an opportunity. If you go back to London now, you'll be dead within a week. You're being dramatic. I'm being realistic. You humiliated powerful people tonight. They will retaliate. The only reason you're alive right now is because you're with me, and killing you means going through me. The cold calculation in his voice reminded Grace who she was dealing with. Not the broken man from moments ago, the silent king. So what? Grace said. We're prisoners. You're protected. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Tae-yang moved closer, and Grace fought the urge to step back. You came here for revenge. You got it. I lost my engagement, my business deals, my family unity. You destroyed me in front of everyone who matters. Mission accomplished, but now you live with the consequences. I didn't ask for your protection. You didn't have to. Those children are mine, which means keeping them safe is my responsibility now, whether you like it or not. Grace wanted to argue, but exhaustion was setting in. The adrenaline from the confrontation was fading, leaving her shaky and drained. Fine, she said. We'll stay tonight, but tomorrow we talk about options. Tomorrow, Tae-yang agreed. Grace went to the guest room, locked the door, and sat on the bed. Her phone was exploding with messages, news articles already published, photos from the party, videos of her dramatic entrance. One message stood out, from her sister Dee. Grace, what the hell did you do? It's all over the news. Are you safe? Grace replied, I'm fine. At his place. Long story. The response came immediately. His place? Are you insane? I'm on the next flight to Seoul. Don't. I have it under control. You have nothing under control. I'll be there in 18 hours. Don't die before I arrive. Grace smiled despite everything. Dee had her back. Always had. She checked on the twins one more time, found them both sleeping, then tried to sleep herself. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Tae-yang's face when Sarah asked if he'd loved her. The raw emotion, the genuine pain. It would be easier if he was just a monster. Comment below. Is Tae-yang telling the truth or manipulating Grace? What do you think? Grace woke to voices, low and tense, speaking Korean. She checked her phone, 3 a.m. The twins were still asleep. She crept down the hallway toward the living room. Tae-yang was on the phone, pacing. I don't care what the council thinks. No, Mother, you don't get a vote anymore. You forfeited that when you tried to buy off the mother of my children. Pause. That's not relevant. Yes, I know what this means for the business. I'll handle it. He ended the call, immediately started another. Commissioner Park, I know it's late. I need to discuss G1. Another pause, longer. I understand she's upset. I'm not asking her to reconsider. I'm asking you not to retaliate against my family because of this. The children are innocent. His voice hardened. Don't threaten me. You know what I'm capable of. He hung up, ran a hand through his hair. For the first time, Grace saw him looking stressed. Actually stressed, not performing composure. Eavesdropping? He asked without turning around. Your phone voice carries. Sorry if I woke you. I couldn't sleep anyway. Grace moved into the room. Trouble? The council wants to vote me out. Jiwon's father is threatening to investigate my businesses. 3 more partners pulled funding, and my mother is demanding I make you and the children disappear for the good of the family. Sounds like a normal day for you. Tae-yang laughed, sharp and bitter. Actually, this is significantly worse than normal. He looked at her. You're very good at destruction. I learned from the best. Fair. He moved to the bar, poured whiskey. Want one? It's 3 a.m. That wasn't a no. Grace accepted the glass. The whiskey burned going down, smooth and expensive. What happens now? Now I decide if holding on to power is worth what it's going to cost. And what's it going to cost? Everything else, probably. My mother's support, my brother's loyalty, though I suppose that was already gone. Political connections, business partnerships, respect. He drank. All because I couldn't let you go 12 years ago. You did let me go. No, I physically left. I never let go. He set his glass down with a sharp click. You want to know the truth? The real truth? I'm not sure I trust your version of truth. Smart, but I'll tell you anyway. He moved closer, and Grace's heart rate picked up. I could have found you if I'd really tried. I could have hired better investigators, used more resources, called in favours, but part of me didn't want to find you. Grace's breath caught. What? Because finding you meant facing what I'd done. It meant admitting I'd made the wrong choice. It meant seeing you look at me exactly the way you're looking at me now, like I'm something diseased. He smiled without humour. So? I looked, but not too hard. I kept your hospital bracelet and told myself I was protecting you by staying away. I'm not a martyr, I'm a coward. Your son was right. The honesty was worse than lies. Grace didn't know what to do with it. Why tell me this? She asked. Because you deserve to know the man you're dealing with, not the king everyone sees, not the monster you've imagined, the actual person who's selfish and broken and makes terrible choices. That doesn't make me feel better. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be true. He refilled his glass. Seth hates me, I can see it. Sarah wants to love me, but doesn't trust me. And you... He trailed off. Me what? You scare me more than any rival ever has. Grace laughed despite herself. I scare you? The feared Mafia king? Terrify me. Because you have the power to destroy me in ways that have nothing to do with business or territory or blood. He met her eyes. You have my children. You have 12 years of their lives I'll never get back. You have the moral high ground, and worst of all, you still have this. He gestured between them, and Grace felt it too. That old pull, the chemistry that had made her fall for him in London. It hadn't died. 12 years, an ocean of betrayal, and it still hummed between them like a live wire. Don't, Grace said. Don't what? Whatever you're thinking. Don't. I'm thinking I never stopped loving you. Is that what you want me not to say? Yes. Exactly that. Too late. Grace set her glass down hard. You don't get to love me. You don't get to stand here and confess feelings and expect that to fix anything. I came here to ruin you, not to reconcile. I know. Then stop looking at me like that. Like what? Like you're remembering London, like you're seeing the girl I was instead of the woman I am. I'm seeing both, Tae-yang said quietly. The girl who laughed at my terrible English, the woman who walked into a room of 300 people and dismantled my entire life without raising her voice. I see all of you. Grace's hands were shaking. From anger or something else. She couldn't tell. This doesn't change anything. I know that too. So why say it? Because tomorrow your sister arrives and you'll have reinforcements. Because tomorrow my world is going to come for you with everything it has. Because tomorrow we start playing defense instead of offense. And I needed you to know. He moved closer, close enough that Grace could smell his cologne, same as London. He'd never changed it. I needed you to know that if I'd known about them, about you being pregnant, I would have burned down my entire empire to be with you. Every bridge, every alliance, every drop of blood I've spilled, I would have walked away from all of it. But you didn't know, Grace whispered. So it doesn't matter. It matters to me. They stood there, inches apart, 12 years and 2 children between them. Grace's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. She stepped back, checked it. Message from an unknown number. Beautiful children, be a shame if something happened to them. Leave Seoul or find out what we do to traitors' families. Her blood went cold. What is it? Tae-yang saw her face, took the phone. His expression went deadly. When did you get this? Just now. He was already dialing, phone to his ear. I need a trace on this number, now. Full security detail to my residence. Nobody in or out without my direct approval. He hung up. Pack the children's things. We're leaving. You just said we have to stay in Seoul. We're not leaving Seoul. We're leaving here. This location is compromised. How? Nobody knew we were... Grace stopped. Your mother, or Minjun, or any number of people who want me weak. He was moving through the apartment, checking windows, drawing curtains. Get the children up. We have 10 minutes. Grace ran to the guest rooms. Sarah woke easily, still half asleep. Seth was alert instantly, reading the panic on his mother's face. What's wrong? He asked. We have to move. Now. Get your shoes on. To her credit, Sarah didn't cry or complain. She just held her mother's hand and moved quickly. Seth was already dressed, always the prepared one. Tae-yang met them in the hallway with a black bag. This way. He led them through the kitchen to what looked like a pantry. False back panel. Secret elevator. Of course he had a secret elevator. Where does this go? Grace asked as they descended. Underground garage. Reinforced. 3 separate exit routes. They emerged in a concrete bunker. 6 cars parked in a row. All black, all identical. Smart. Harder to track which one he'd be in. Tae-yang chose the middle car, helped Sarah into the back. Seth climbed in after her. Grace started to follow. Front seat, Tae-yang said. I need you to navigate if things get complicated. I don't know, Seoul. You speak 6 languages. If I tell you where to go in Korean, you can repeat it to the backup team in English. Front seat, Grace obeyed. The car started, with a quiet purr. Bulletproof glass, reinforced chassis. This was a war machine disguised as a luxury vehicle. They pulled out of the garage into pre-dawn Seoul. Empty streets, street lights creating pools of orange light. Tae-yang drove fast but controlled, checking mirrors constantly. Are we being followed? Grace asked. Not yet. That's not comforting. It's not supposed to be comforting. It's supposed to be honest. His phone rang. He answered via car Bluetooth. Talk to me. Sir, we've traced the threat. Number's a burner, but the cell tower ping came from inside your mother's residence. Tae-yang's jaw tightened. Confirmed. Yes, sir. Message was sent from inside Madam Yoon's compound. He ended the call without responding. Accelerated. Your mother threatened our children, Grace said, voice shaking with rage. I don't know if it was her directly or someone in her household, but yes. Where are we going? Somewhere she doesn't control. Somewhere Minjun doesn't know about, somewhere we can regroup. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving the city centre. Grace recognised some landmarks from her earlier trip to Seoul, 6 months pregnant. Desperate meeting Madame Yoon at that hotel. The memory still burned. They pulled up to a warehouse district. Tae-yang parked, killed the engine. "Stay in the car," he said. "I need to check something." He disappeared into one of the warehouses. Sarah was asleep again in the back. Seth was watching everything with those sharp eyes. "Mum," Seth said quietly, "are we going to be okay?" Grace turned to look at her son. "I don't know, baby. I thought I had this under control, but—" "You did what you needed to do. I'm not mad." Seth's voice was mature beyond his years. "I'm scared, but I'm not mad. I should have planned better, should have anticipated. You can't plan for everything. That's what you always tell us." He reached forward, squeezed her shoulder. "We're together. That's what matters." Grace's throat tightened with emotion. Her brilliant, brave boy. Tae-yang returned, got back in the car. "It's clear. Come on." The warehouse was actually a fully furnished safe house. Modern, clean, stocked with food and supplies. Guard station outside, but the interior was homey. "How many of these do you have?" Grace asked. 7. "This is the only one tied to me personally, not the organisation. My mother doesn't know about it." He showed them to bedrooms. Actual bedrooms with clothes in the closets, toiletries in the bathrooms. He'd prepared this place for hiding. Seth and Sarah went to their rooms. Grace lingered in the main living area. "Your sister lands in 6 hours, Tae-yang said, checking his phone. "I'll send a car to get her." "How do you know when she lands?" "I know everything about everyone connected to you. It's called being thorough. It's called being invasive. In my world, they're the same thing." He poured coffee from a machine that looked brand new. "You should rest. The children will need you sharp when they wake up." "I can't rest. Every time I close my eyes, I see that message." "Beautiful children." Grace's voice cracked. "They threatened my babies. Our babies. And yes, they did. Which is why that person will be dead by sunrise." The casual way he said it should have horrified Grace. Instead, she felt a dark satisfaction. "Good." Tae-yang raised an eyebrow. "Bloodthirsty. I like it." "This is your fault," Grace said, needing to aim her fear at someone. "Your world, your family, your choices. My children are in danger because of you. Yes. That's it? Just yes? What do you want me to say? That I'll fix it? I'm trying. That I'm sorry? I am. That I wish I'd never met you so you'd be safe." He set his coffee down. "I can't wish that, because then Seth and Sarah wouldn't exist, and they're the best thing I never knew I made." Damn him for saying the right thing. Grace sat heavily on the couch. "I was supposed to ruin you and leave. That was the plan. Plans change. I don't want to be here. I don't want to need your protection. I don't want my children caught in a Mafia war." "I know." "Stop saying that. What should I say instead?" "I don't know. Something that isn't just accepting blame. Fight back. Defend yourself. Give me something to be angry at instead of this." She gestured helplessly. "Instead of what?" "This honesty. This vulnerability. I liked it better when I could hate you completely." Tae-yang moved to sit beside her. Not touching, but close. "You can still hate me. I won't stop you. It's harder now. Because you've seen that I'm human. Because I've seen that you're suffering too, and I'm not petty enough to enjoy that." They sat in silence. Outside, dawn was breaking over Seoul. A new day, new dangers. "When your sister gets here," Tae-yang said, "things are going to move fast. She'll want to take you away from here. The council will make their move. My mother will escalate. We're about to enter the storm. I know. I need you to trust me." Grace laughed bitterly. "Trust you? The man who—" I know what I am. But right now, I'm the only thing standing between those children and people who see them as leverage. So yes, I need you to trust me, just for a little while." Grace looked at him, really looked, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, saw a man who'd lost everything overnight and was still fighting. "Okay," she said, "but the second I think you're using us, you'll destroy me again, I know. I expect nothing less. If you're still watching, drop a subscribe because this story is about to get even crazier." D. Okonkwo arrived at the safe house like a storm system, 6 feet tall, muscular, with the kind of presence that made people step aside. She took one look at the warehouse setup and turned to Grace. "You've lost your mind." "Nice to see you too, sis." Dee pulled Grace into a hug that lifted her off the ground. "Are you okay? Are the babies okay?" "We're fine. Dee, meet. I know who he is." Dee turned to Taeyang with an expression that could freeze fire. "You're the deadbeat." "That's one word for it," Taeyang said calmly. "I have others. Most of them involve anatomical impossibilities." Dee moved between Taeyang and Grace instinctively. "Grace, pack the kids. We're leaving. We can't leave Seoul right now. It's not safe. It's not safe here. This man's family just threatened your children. Which is why we're in his personal safe house that his family doesn't know about," Grace explained. "Dee, I know this looks insane. It is insane. You came here for revenge and somehow ended up under his protection. How does that make sense?" "It doesn't. But it's what we've got." Seth and Sarah emerged from their rooms, drawn by Dee's voice. Sarah squealed with delight. "Aunt Dee!" Dee's face transformed, all hard edges softening. "There's my girl!" She scooped Sarah up. "And my man Seth. Look at you both, so big." "Aunt Dee, we met father," Sarah said excitedly. "He's tall. I heard. Also heard he abandoned you for 11 years. Dee," Grace warned. "What? I'm just stating facts." Taeyang's phone rang. He checked it, frowned. "I need to take this." He stepped outside. Dee waited until he was gone. "Grace, be honest with me. Are you safe here?" "I think so. He's got guards, security, and he knows this world better than I do." "That's not what I asked. Are you safe? From him?" Grace understood what her sister was asking. "He's not going to hurt me, or the kids. I'm sure of that much." "You were sure of him 12 years ago too. This is different." "How?" "Because now I'm not in love with him." Dee's eyes narrowed. "Why did you phrase it like that? Not in love, not I hate him or I'm done with him. You said not in love." "Oh God, Grace, no. Tell me you're not falling for him again." "I'm not. I just..." Grace struggled to find words. "It's complicated." "It's really not. He left you. End of complication. He thought he was protecting me. And that worked out great," Dee said sarcastically. "You got shot, raised twins alone, struggled for 12 years. But sure, he was protecting you." Sarah tugged on Dee's sleeve. "Aunt Dee," father cried. "When I asked why he didn't love us, he cried." Dee's expression softened. "Did he, baby? And he kept Mama's hospital bracelet for 12 years. Doesn't that mean he loved her?" Seth made a disgusted sound. "It means he felt guilty. Love is action, not souvenirs." "When did you get so cynical?" Dee asked. "When I watched our mother work 3 jobs to keep us fed while our father lived in luxury." Valid point, Grace thought. Taeyang returned, face grim. "We have a problem." "Another one?" Grace asked. "The council vote is tonight. My mother's pushing it through fast, while the scandal is fresh. If I lose all protection. They'll install Minjun as acting leader." "How many votes do you have?" "Not enough. I need 8 of 12. I have 5 confirmed, 3 probable no votes, and 4 unknowns. So you need 3 of the 4 unknowns, Dee calculated. What's your play? Tae-yang looked surprised. She was engaging tactically. I convinced them that I'm still the strongest leader, that this scandal doesn't weaken me. But it does weaken you, Seth said from the doorway. Everyone turned. The boy walked into the room like he belonged there. You're emotionally compromised. You've made decisions based on feelings. That's weakness in your world. Seth! Grace started. No, he's right, Tae-yang said. That's exactly what they'll say. So, change the narrative, Seth continued. Make it about strength. You found out you had children and immediately claimed them. You expelled the brother who betrayed you. You ended an engagement that was politically convenient but personally empty. You're not compromised. You're decisive. Everyone stared at the 11-year-old. That's... Tae-yang blinked. That's actually brilliant. I know. I got your strategic mind, unfortunately. Seth crossed his arms. But here's the thing. If you use that angle, you have to fully commit. No hiding us. No keeping us secret. We become assets, not liabilities. Absolutely not, Grace said. I'm not turning my children into political tools. We already are political tools, Mum. The second we walked into that party, we became leverage. The question is whether we're leverage that makes father look weak or strong. Dee whistled low. Kid's got a point. Whose side are you on? Grace demanded. Whichever side keeps my niece and nephew alive. Right now, that's the side where everyone sees them as protected, not vulnerable. Dee turned to Tae-yang. What's the plan if you lose the vote? I have resources outside the organisation. Money, properties, contacts. I can keep them safe, but I lose the infrastructure. And if you win, then I use the full weight of the organisation to eliminate every threat. No mercy, no negotiations. I vote for option 2, Dee said. This isn't a democracy, Grace snapped. Actually, it is. Tonight's vote decides everything. Sarah raised her hand like she was in school. Can I say something? Always, baby, Grace said. I think we should help father win. Grace's heart sank. Sarah, because if he loses, the bad people win. Uncle Minjun tried to kill father. Grandmother threatened us. If they take over, what happens to us? We leave, we go back to London, and they follow us, Seth said quietly. Mum, you know they will. We're witnesses now. We know too much. The only way we're truly safe is if father has the power to protect us. Grace looked at her children. When had they become so pragmatic? When had they learned to think like this? They shouldn't have to think like this, she said to Tae-yang. They're 11. I know. I'm sorry. Stop apologising and fix it. I'm trying. He checked his watch. The vote is in 6 hours. I need to meet with the unknown council members. Convince them personally. Take the kids, Dee suggested. What? No. Grace moved between Tae-yang and the twins. Hear me out. He shows up with his children. Shows he's not hiding them, not ashamed. Shows they're smart, well-raised, an asset to the family. It's a power move. It's using them. It's including them, Seth said. There's a difference. Sarah nodded. I want to help father. See? Dee spread her hands. Democracy. Grace looked at Tae-yang. If I agree to this, you keep them in sight every second. One hint of danger, you get them out. I swear it. And I'm coming too. Grace, that's not... Those are my terms. We do this together or not at all. Tae-yang studied her face, then nodded. Together. Grace turned to Dee. You're the getaway driver. Anything goes wrong, you get them out of Seoul. On it. Dee cracked her knuckles. This is either going to be brilliant or catastrophic. Probably both. Seth muttered. 2 hours later, they were in Tae-yang's war room. Actual war room, with screens showing various council members' locations, files on each person, strategic analysis. Council member Kim, Tae-yang briefed them. 65, old school, values tradition and family. He's one of the unknowns. If we can convince him that the twins represent continuation of bloodline, not scandal, he'll vote yes. What does he care about? Grace asked. Legacy, honor, strength. Then we lead with Seth. Grace turned to her son. You speak to him in Korean. Formal register. Show respect but confidence. Seth nodded. I can do that. Council member Park, Tae-yang continued. No relation to the commissioner, 48, ambitious, looks for advantage. She'll vote for whoever benefits her most. What does she want? Dee asked. More territory, control of the southern docks. Can you give her that? If I win the vote, yes. Then that's her price, Grace said. Simple transaction. They went through each council member, strategizing, planning. Sarah sat quietly, listening. She was too young for most of this, but she was trying to help by being present. The first meeting was at a traditional tea house in Bukchon. Council member Kim sat in a private room, waiting. Grace and Tae-yang entered with the twins. Kim's eyes widened, seeing the children. So, it's true. Yes, Tae-yang said. Allow me to introduce my son, Yoon Seth, and my daughter, Yoon Sarah. Seth bowed with perfect form, spoke in flawless Korean. Honored elder, thank you for meeting with us. My sister and I know our existence is unexpected, but we hope to prove ourselves worthy of the Yoon name. Kim's face showed surprise, then approval. Your Korean is excellent. Our mother insisted we learn our heritage, Seth replied. Even when father couldn't be present, she made sure we knew where we came from. Grace watched Kim's face. He was impressed. Good. And you, little one. Kim addressed Sarah. What do you think of all this? Sarah stood, bowed. I think families are complicated, but I love my father and I want to know him. Is that wrong? Not wrong. Honest. Kim turned to Tae-yang. These children are well raised. Their mother is remarkable. Yet you left her. I made a terrible mistake. I'm trying to correct it. Kim studied them. The question before the council is whether you're fit to lead, emotionally stable, strategically sound. I understand. Finding out you have children after 12 years would destabilize any man. How do I know you won't make decisions based on emotion instead of logic? Seth stepped forward. May I speak, honoured elder? Kim nodded. Logic and emotion aren't opposites. Seth said carefully. A leader who can't feel is a tyrant. A leader who only feels is a fool. My father is neither. He's a man trying to balance both. That makes him human. And humans build better futures than tyrants or fools. The room went silent. Grace's heart swelled with pride. Kim smiled slowly. You have your father's mind and your mother's heart. A dangerous combination. He turned to Tae-yang. You have my vote. Don't waste it. One down. The next 3 meetings followed similar patterns. Council member Park negotiated her dock territory and voted yes. Council member Lee needed assurance that Tae-yang would be strong against rivals. Seth's calm analysis of recent territorial conflicts convinced him. Council member Choi was the hardest, a woman who'd never liked Tae-yang and saw this as her chance to remove him. Why should I trust a man who didn't even know his own children? Choi demanded. Because he does now, Grace said quietly. It was the first time she'd spoken in these meetings, and he's fighting to protect them. That's not weakness. That's what every parent does. You defend him after what he did to you? I'm not defending what he did 12 years ago. I'm defending what he's trying to do now. There's a difference. Choi studied Grace with sharp eyes. You're either very forgiving or very foolish. I'm neither. I'm practical. My children are in danger because I brought them into this world. Now I'm doing everything I can to keep them safe, including working with a man I have every reason to hate. And if he betrays you again, then I'll destroy him again, more thoroughly this time." Choi laughed, sharp and genuine. "I like you. Fine, you have my vote. But Tae-yang, if you fail these children, I'll vote you out myself." Fair enough. They had 8 votes now, enough to win. But when they returned to the safe house, Dee was waiting with bad news. "Minjun knows where you are." "How?" Tae-yang demanded. "Followed one of the council members here. He's got people surrounding the building, not attacking, just watching, waiting." "For what?" "For the vote. If you win, they retreat. If you lose..." Dee didn't finish. Sarah grabbed Grace's hand. "Mama, I'm scared." "I know, baby. Me too." Seth was at the window, looking out at the street. "How many of them?" 12 that I counted," Dee said. "Could be more." "We have 6 guards," Tae-yang said. "Not enough if they push." "So, we leave," Grace said. "Go somewhere else. If we run now, I look weak. The vote is in 2 hours. I need to show strength. Strength doesn't matter if you're dead. Death is just another kind of weakness." Grace wanted to scream at his Mafia logic, but Seth spoke first. "What if we change the location?" the boy suggested. "Move the vote somewhere Minjun can't control, somewhere public. The council meets in private, but there's no rule it has to be private, right? It's just tradition." Seth was thinking out loud. "What if you called an emergency public council, made it transparent, showed everyone you're not hiding?" "That's never been done." "Maybe it's time to change tradition." Tae-yang looked at his son with something like wonder. "You really do have my mind." "And I hate it," Seth said. "But right now, it's useful." 40 minutes later, Tae-yang was making calls. The council members resisted at first, but when he explained the situation, that Minjun's men were surrounding his location, that this was already a siege whether they acknowledged it or not, most agreed. The vote would happen at the Grand Lotus Casino, the same ballroom where Grace had destroyed Tae-yang's engagement, public, transparent, unavoidable. "This is insane," one council member said over the phone. "This is survival," Tae-yang replied. They arrived at the casino with 15 minutes to spare. Press was already there, summoned by an anonymous tip. Grace suspected Dee. The ballroom filled with council members, their advisors, security, and curious onlookers who'd heard rumours. Madame Yoon sat in the front row, face carved from ice. Minjun stood beside her, smiling like he'd already won. Grace kept the twins close. Sarah was shaking. Seth was eerily calm. The council chairman called the meeting to order. "We are here to vote on the fitness of Yoon Tae-yang to continue as leader of this organisation. The charges against him are emotional instability, poor judgment, and bringing scandal upon the family." "I'd like to address those charges," Tae-yang said, standing. "You'll have your turn." "No, now." His voice cut through the room. "You say I'm emotionally unstable. I say I'm human. I found out I have children. Children I didn't know existed because my own mother paid their mother to disappear. Yes, I felt emotion. But I also acted decisively. I expelled the brother who betrayed me. I ended a political engagement that served the organisation but not my integrity. I claimed my children publicly and immediately." He gestured to Seth and Sarah. "You see scandal. I see the future. My son has already shown strategic brilliance that rivals my own. My daughter has emotional intelligence this organisation desperately needs. They are assets, not liabilities. They're illegitimate," someone called out. "They're mine," Tae-yang roared. The room flinched. Grace had never heard him yell. And I will not allow anyone, council member or not, to disrespect them. If that's instability, then vote me out. But know this, I am the strongest leader you've ever had. And if you replace me with someone who tried to murder me, you'll deserve the weakness that follows. Silence. Then Council Member Kim stood. I vote to retain Yoon Tae-yang as leader. One by one, the votes came. 8 yes, 3 no, 1 abstention. Tae-yang had won. Minjun's face went purple. This is a mistake. He's compromised. The vote is decided, the chairman said. This matter is closed. Madam Yoon stood slowly. She looked at Tae-yang, at Grace, at the twins. Something passed over her face. Not quite regret, not quite acceptance, but acknowledgment. I underestimated you, she said to Grace. Most people do. My son chose well 12 years ago. I should have trusted that. You should have, Grace agreed, but you didn't. So now we're here. Indeed. Madam Yoon turned to the twins. Sarah, Seth, I owe you an apology. Sarah stepped forward bravely. You called us mistakes. I was wrong. You're not mistakes. You're miracles. And I'm sorry I couldn't see that immediately. It wasn't enough. One apology couldn't fix the damage, but it was a start. Seth remained cold. Actions matter more than apologies. Smart boy. Madam Yoon actually smiled. Very well. I'll prove it through actions. Minjun made a disgusted sound and stormed out. Half his supporters followed. The other half stayed, reading the room, choosing the winning side. The crowd dispersed slowly. Press shouted questions. Tae-yang ignored them, moved to his family. You did it, Grace said. We did it. He looked at Seth. Your strategy worked. Don't expect me to keep helping you. I won't, but thank you. Seth nodded stiffly, then went to his sister. Grace and Tae-yang stood there, in the same ballroom where this had all started 24 hours ago. Everything had changed. Nothing had changed. What happens now? Grace asked. Now I consolidate power, remove Minjun's remaining influence, strengthen defences, make sure you and the children are protected. And then we figure out what this is. He gestured between them. Whatever this is, there is no this. Liar. Grace's breath caught. I hate you. Also a lie. I want to hate you. That I believe. They stood too close, the air between them crackling with 12 years of pain and something else, something dangerous. Don't, Grace whispered. Don't what? Don't make me feel this. Feel what? Hope. Tae-yang's hand lifted, almost touched her face, dropped. Hope is dangerous. I know, but necessary. I know that too, if you've made it this far. You're amazing. Leave a comment telling me what happens next. 3 months passed. Grace and the twins didn't return to London. Not yet. There were threats to neutralise, security to arrange, legal documents to sign, giving Tae-yang official paternity rights. They stayed in the safe house mostly. Tae-yang visited daily, sometimes just for dinner, sometimes to teach Seth strategy or take Sarah to museums. He was trying. Grace saw him trying. Dee stayed too, suspicious guardian. But even she softened slightly when Tae-yang arranged for her ex-boyfriend, the detective, to have drinks with her. Meddling, Dee called it. Helping, Tae-yang corrected. One evening, Grace found Tae-yang on the rooftop of the safe house, soul spread below, lights glittering. Couldn't sleep, she asked. Never can. You? Same. They stood in comfortable silence. This was happening more lately. Comfortable silences, shared spaces, accidental touches that lingered. I've been thinking, Tae-yang said, about going legitimate. What? The casino, the hotels, the import business. They can all be legal. It would take time, but it's possible. He looked at her. Seth said something that stuck with me, about having choices. I want that. For them, for... He trailed off. For us. Grace finished. Is there an us? I don't know. Is there? Do you want there to be? Grace laughed shakily. You're really going to make me say it? Yes. Fine. Yes, I want there to be. I hate that I want it, but I do. You're infuriating and damaged, and you ruined my life. But you're also trying to fix it. And I see you with them, with our children, and I see the man I fell for in London, and it terrifies me. Why? Because what if you leave again? Tae-yang moved closer. I won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because leaving you the first time nearly destroyed me. I've spent 12 years as half a person. I'm not doing that again. Pretty words. True words. He reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I should just be grateful you let me know my children. But I'm selfish. I want more. I want you. I want us. I want to be the family we should have been 12 years ago. That's a lot of wants. Tell me to leave and I will. Tell me you can never forgive me and I'll accept it. But tell me the truth. Grace looked up at him. This man who'd broken her, this man who was trying to piece her back together, this impossible, complicated, infuriating man. The truth is, I'm terrified, she said. The truth is, I don't trust you completely. The truth is, I probably never will. Okay, but the truth is also that I want to try. I want to see if we can build something real. Not the fantasy from London, something honest and hard and real. I'll take it. It won't be easy. Nothing worth having is. He leaned down, slowly. She leaned up. When their lips met, it felt like coming home and stepping off a cliff simultaneously, terrifying, perfect. They broke apart, and Grace laughed, shaky. We're probably making a huge mistake. Probably. The twins are going to have opinions. Seth will hate it. Sarah will plan our wedding. You're not allowed to joke about weddings yet. We're at kissing. That's it. Noted. They kissed again. Longer this time. 12 years of longing and pain and hope compressed into a moment. When they finally went inside, they found Seth and Sarah watching from the window. Sarah was grinning. Seth looked resigned. I knew it, Sarah said. We're doomed, Seth muttered. Probably, Grace agreed. But we're doomed together. 6 months later, Grace stood in her new apartment in Seoul. Not Tae-yang's place, her own, but close enough that he could visit daily, that the twins could go between both homes easily. They weren't married, weren't even officially together in any public way, but they were trying. Family dinners, weekend trips, therapy, both individual and together, working through 12 years of damage slowly, carefully. Tae-yang had started the process of legitimizing his businesses. It would take years. But he'd committed. For the children. For Grace. For himself. Madame Yoon had actually apologized, properly, to both twins and Grace. She was trying to build relationships with her grandchildren. It was awkward, but it was something. Minjun was gone, exiled from the family, last heard running a small operation in Thailand. No one missed him. Dee had reconciled with her detective and was splitting time between London and Seoul. Just visiting, she insisted, but she'd looked at apartments. And Grace? Grace was learning to trust again, learning to hope, learning that sometimes the person who breaks you can be part of putting you back together if everyone involved is willing to do the work. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy and complicated and sometimes painful, but it was real. Seth walked into the room, school uniform neat. Mum, I'm going to be late. Father's driving you today, Grace said. Great. He'll lecture me about strategy again. He's trying to connect. I know. It's annoying. But Seth smiled slightly, and Grace knew her son was softening, slowly, in his own time. Sarah bounded in, backpack flying. Is father here yet? He promised to take me for ice cream after school. He'll be here. I love that we live close to him now. It's like having a real family. We've always been a real family, baby. I know, but it's bigger now. Better. The doorbell rang. Sarah ran to answer it. Tae-yang stood there in a business suit, looking every inch the legitimate businessman he was becoming. Ready? He asked the twins. Yeah, Seth said, grabbing his bag. Sarah hugged Tae-yang. Ready, Daddy. Daddy. She'd started calling him that a month ago. It broke him every time. Tae-yang looked at Grace over the children's heads. Dinner. Tonight? Your place or mine? Yours. I'll cook. You can't cook. I'll bring food and pretend to cook. Better. He smiled, and it was genuine, real, the kind of smile that reminded Grace why she'd fallen for him in the first place. After they left, Grace sat at her piano, the one Tae-yang had bought her. Her shoulder still ached sometimes, but she could play now, not professionally, but enough. She played the lullaby she'd written for the twins when they were babies, the one Tae-yang had learned to sing. Outside, Seoul hummed with life. Somewhere, her children were learning and growing. Somewhere, a man who'd broken her heart was learning to deserve a second chance. And Grace was learning that some stories don't have neat endings. They have continuing chapters, messy middles, uncertain futures, but they also have hope. And sometimes, that's enough. If you made it to the end of this journey, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment telling me what you thought, and let me know what story you want to see next. Until next time, remember, even the most broken things can be made whole again. It just takes time, forgiveness, and two people willing to fight for it.